exquisite vibration of love. Holy innocence of God. Accepting in this moment the holy innocence that is waiting to be discovered within and discovered in every beloved. And in that discovery, the belief of separation falls away, and light and joy and peace are remembered. Accepting the truth is the journey that is in manifestation. The seeming journey that you are walking is only a journey because you've forgotten. It hasn't changed the truth of love. It hasn't changed the truth of the magnificence that you truly are. It hasn't changed and become something else just because it's been forgotten. The waking up from a dream is as easy as the blink of an eye. But the perception of separation and battle is in a refusal sometimes, a resistance sometimes, the belief that there is something to protect or save or keep. When everything that is the truth of love doesn't need a battle, doesn't need protection. All the power of the universe is in this love. In this moment, finding the willingness to rest in the divine alchemy of love's healing. To give up ownership of a false identity and receive and accept the light that has always been. As you accept this light as your true nature, you begin to recognize that you don't have to earn this. You don't have to battle for it. You don't have to prove anything. Not only do you not have to, you can't. There is no proving in love. There is no earning in love. It's just the yes. The yes to what is true. This takes the leap of faith out of a perception of separation, leaving the perception of separation behind and walking toward the truth of love. Focusing all attention, all intention on love itself, on God, on the universe of love. willing to be dazzled, willing to be mesmerized, willing to be smitten, willing to have your breath taken away by the beauty and the perfection, the light, the gentleness, the joy. This is the yes. Follow the yes. Let your heart sing its yes, and then follow that yes. Allow. And in this seeming journey, the willingness to recognize that there is no separate me, and that when you say yes, you are saying yes for all of humanity, and you are willing to bring all of humanity into the light through your own opening of your heart. The willingness to let everyone bathe in your heart center. To let everything bathe in the heart center. The willingness to bring the nourishment of truth, the nourishment of forgiveness, the nourishment of gentleness to every beloved. And in this devotion to love, to realize that the open heart does not have any opinions, does not have any qualifications, does not bring into any life the belief that there needs to be anything suspicious or hesitant in any way. Letting go of the belief of battle and difficulty. Resting. Resting in the yes and following. In this moment, in that devotion, in that divine dedication, breathing fully and deeply, and recognizing that when you're breathing fully and deeply with intention of love, you are much more present. Doesn't allow the mind to wander in the same way as when you give the breath into a trance state. But when you focus on breathing with intention of love, breathing in the yes, and as you breathe out, letting go of all perceptions of limitation, focused on divine communion through the breath. That no words are needed to be in divine communion with the holiness of love itself. The breath is the vehicle of love. And breathing deeply in this moment, the willingness to let go of all thoughts that came up today, any thoughts that came up today that said there is separation in some way. but having the willingness to let go of all the thoughts of today, all of the assumptions, all of the conclusions, all of the perceptions. Surrendering everything into the hands of God. Not wanting to keep anything of this day in the belief of separation, but willing to rest in the peaceful harmony of the breath. Breathing and finding the willingness of the heart to surrender the future. Gladly surrendering the future into the hands of God, not knowing what the next moment will show up and look like, but trusting the unfolding of harmony and peace. Having confidence that God is leading the way. And breathing into the throat. Inviting the throat to open, moving easily and effortlessly. Breathing. And continuing to breathe, breathing into the neck and the shoulders, noticing if there was anything held of tension, of resistance of any kind, letting it go. And remembering that as you let it go, oh, that's right. I'm in the hands of God. What am I holding on to? Nothing to hold on to. Breathing. Breathing into the spine. Inviting the spine to open, bringing breath through the spine. Allowing the spine to be flexible in the liquid of love. Surrendering the body into the hands of God. Breathing and resting. Allowing. Surrendering the arms and hands to be used for love. The instruments of love. No longer willing to have the body be the instrument of fear, but willing for love to express. And breathing into the heart, inviting the heart to come forward open and available in love. Undefended, nothing to protect, nothing to hide from in any way. Opening the heart, the yes. Breathing into the belly. Surrendering all the organs, all the blood vessels, all the muscles, all the tendons, everything surrendered into the hands of God. Letting everything become the vehicle of love. And breathing into the hips and thighs and the knees and the calves and the ankles. Everything surrendered into the hands of God. And allowing the heart to whisper and to chant, make me an instrument of thy peace. As I let go, as I release, make me an instrument. Allow this instrument to be the flute of love. Let the breath of love of God come through and be used as a flute. Breathing, allowing. Now surrendering the emotional body into the hands of God. All feelings surrendered into the hands of God. No longer willing to have the mind run the emotional body, but now surrendering that emotional body into the hands of God to be used for love, to express harmony and peace and joy, to express charity and compassion. fear surrendered. And breathing and allowing in this moment the wave of love to move through every cell, every molecule. Surrendering. And affirming that here in the infinite circle of love we are one. One heart and one breath. Surrendering a separate heart, a separate breath. Surrendering it all into the union of love. The holy union of divine equality. Willing to see every beloved as the beloved. Nothing else. Just the truth of God. The light of love. This sanctuary is filled with love because love is all that exists. This universe is all of love. There is only one presence here. It is the life force of God, and within this life force we live and move and breathe as one. Divine union expressed. Breathing as one. One heart and one breath in devotion to love. One heart and one breath in devotion to remembering. I will follow. So allow this divine offering of love to permeate through your heart chakra, letting it stir and break apart any resistance to love. I ask for the truth of love. I ask for charity. I ask for the love. Divine Mother, show me the way. I ask for the truth of love. I ask for the way of the heart. I ask for healing in this moment, Divine Mother of Charity. Find the willingness of the heart in this moment of what you truly want and invite the vibration of love, the divine alchemy of love, to permeate into the heart, accepting the divine transformation of love's healing. The yes. Apenas por vosso amor, apenas por caridade, a vós te damos louvor, ó Virgem da castidade. Apenas por vosso amor, atendo nosso chamado, ajuda nosso cessar a curar a necessitados. Apenas por vosso amor, apenas por caridade, a vós te damos louvor, a Virgem da castidade. Apenas por vosso amor, atendo nosso chamado, ajuda nosso cessar a curar a necessitados. The willingness to put all beliefs of limitation and separation into the hands of the Divine Mother. The willingness to just relinquish the ownership of separation. The willingness to have all erroneous beliefs of limitation healed in this moment. The yes to love. All I am, all I am, all I am is given to me. My mother gives to me, my father gives to me. All I am set free. Can forgive, I am forgiven. My mother gives to me, my father gives to me. I'm here to receive, here to be forgiven. All will receive, I am forgiven. All I am, all I am, all I am is given to me. I'm here to receive. All I am, here to be given. All I am. All I am. The willingness to accept harmony and peace as all that you are. The joy and the light, all that you are. And the willingness to forgive all mistaken identities, all mistaken concepts. The willingness to bring that true forgiveness into the heart. Forgiving all illusions of limitation. Nothing to protect, nothing to defend. All is forgiven because it never existed. But in the relinquishment, forgiveness is needed because a false belief has been held and has been so entrenched that now is the time of letting go. Now is the time of the divine correction into the truth. The willingness to accept that only love exists. Again, recognizing the abundance of divine offerings that are always flowing, waiting to be stepped into, waiting to be joined in every moment. That is the opportunity to join in the divine rhythm of love and to receive that nourishment. Nothing is ever not available that is true. Everything is always completely offered. So Hafiz offers, the mule got drunk and lost in heaven. The mind is ever a tourist wanting to touch and buy new things, then toss them into an already filled closet. So I craft my words into these guides that will offer you something fresh from the Beloved's tavern. Few things are stronger than the mind's need for diverse experience. I'm glad not many men or women can remain faithful lovers to the unreal. There's a kind of adultery that God encourages. Your spirit needs to leave the bed of fear, no longer wanting fear to be your partner. The gross, the subtle, the mental worlds become a worthless partner. Beloveds need to utilize their yes about love, so that their hour's legacy can make us all stronger and more clement. Sometimes a poem happens like this one. The mule I sit on while I recite starts off in one direction, but then gets drunk and lost in heaven. The mind is ever a tourist, wanting to touch and buy new things, then toss them into an already filled closet. This is the grappling with the world. This is the belief that something outside you is going to bring you to peace. That something that you think you need or you think you don't have is outside. And every beloved has spent lifetimes looking, searching for the elusive experience, for the elusive items that will somehow satisfy, but they never do. And that is an essential recognition that every beloved will come to. But it is essential, so why not accept it now? Sometimes it seems so funny to read this beautiful transmission from the 1300s and recognize that the ego has not changed one smit. Still, the mind is ever a tourist, not being at home, wandering, wanting to touch and buy new things that take its attention. And you then believe that there is something missing. There is something outside that is going to fill this longing that everyone feels. But a tourist stays a tourist, not recognizing where home is, and not recognizing that there is nothing outside that is ever going to satisfy, and there is nothing outside that is ever going to bring you to the awareness of being home. It's not possible. Because everything that is outside has been made up by your mind. So in that, everything that you are trying to grasp is the vicious cycle of just what you believe. And it's the mind playing mind games. And this is why you then toss them into an already filled closet, because it's just the grasp of the day. It's not any different than anything else that you've grasped, except for one little element. And that element is that the ego provides a hit. The ego provides a hit of pleasure and a hit of perceived satisfaction of actually getting something. But this is like being in the dark. This is like being in the dark, and you go to grab something out of your closet in the dark, and you think you have one thing, and then when you step into the light, you realize it isn't what you thought. It didn't have any value at all. This is not about the hatred of the world. This is about really learning to love everything as the divine, rather than giving value to something as a personal gain of worth, but rather offering the truth of love to everything, and recognizing and wanting to recognize that everything of truth is already within. That there are really no needs, because you're looking in the wrong direction. The perception that you are without is what all the searching is for. And the world has an agreement that says, yes, we're all in the search. It's kind of like watching a reality show, maybe called The Great Race, to get to the prize, because there isn't enough. And believing that you have a great race to run, and that you have to find your worth, prove yourself, and you have 85 years to accomplish it. And you think you're beating the game if you make it to 90. But when you realize that, oh, God is here, God is within, waiting to be discovered. So when Hafiz says, so I craft my words into these guides that will offer you something fresh from the Beloved's tavern. Something fresh to spark your attention. Something fresh that will give you a new awareness, maybe said in a slightly different way, so that it can shake up the trance, and that you will come to that yes. Yes, I accept that there is nothing outside, and I'm going to stop looking. I'm going to stop being seduced by what I believe is out there. And how do you do that? Mostly through guidance. Mostly through the willingness to be led to where actually the treasure is. Through the stillness, through the quiet, through the communion, through your prayers. And if you don't hear clearly the voice of God, that you have enough trust that it isn't because the communion isn't there. It's just because sometimes it takes a little while to let go of the mind's rattling to make room for that quiet whisper. Few things are stronger than the mind's need for diverse experience. Few things are stronger than the mind's need for diverse experience. Why is that? Why is it that there are few things stronger than the mind's diverse need for experience? It's because you really don't believe that there's anything worth being with within. Because you don't recognize that there is a friend within that is so wonderful to be with. There isn't an honoring, there isn't an acknowledgement, an awareness of the beauty that is waiting for you within, because you have believed that you are unworthy, that you are unloved, that you are without worth. And then it's two elements of the ego battling with each other, saying, well, I don't want to spend any time here. That's pretty worthless. And the ego is battling with the ego, having a discussion about your worthlessness. And then part of the ego says, start the projector. Let's look at the past. You see any worth there? I don't see any worth there. You better start looking outside to find something of worth. Anybody has more worth than you. These are the lies. This is the facade. And everyone carries the same lie. And it takes faith. It takes this deep trust that if the masters are all saying, yes, your worth is exquisite. Your worth is brilliant. Well, I'm going to trust that, and I'm going to want to meet this brilliance. And I'm not going to believe the lies anymore that's being shown on that projector, that screen. I'm not going to believe that anymore. I refuse. And in that refusal, the light is reignited. The willingness to see the worth, to accept the worth that is within. Imagine how peaceful, how restful it is to stop battling with self-image, self-identity, self-concepts, self-experience. The willingness to accept a new life, the truth. It's where it is. It's in the willingness. Few things are stronger than the mind's need for diverse experience. Few things. Hafiz didn't even mention heroin. Didn't mention alcohol. Because the mind's addiction to experience incorporates all of it. It just has different styles, different forms that it takes of looking outside. But first you have to actually stop and recognize, am I looking outside? I didn't even realize I was, because it was such a habit. I thought it was normal. It's just what I've always done. And now the light has come to shake up the trance, to see, to want to recognize, to, there it is. That's what I've been putting my faith into. I've been putting my faith into something that has no worth of my faith. It has no value to give my faith to. I was mistaken. I wasn't wrong. I wasn't bad. I wasn't condemned. I was just mistaken. I just took a turn on a road that went nowhere. There's no punishment for going on a road that goes nowhere. The only punishment is in the time spent of the lack of awareness of the beauty that is waiting for you to be recognized. And that becomes hell. All the talk of hell as if it's someplace you're going to go. No, when you're in the mind's belief for the need for diverse experience, you are in hell. It's just the recognition that it's hell and not what you deserve, not settling for bits and pieces, not settling for a tiny life. That there is nothing to settle for. There's a beautiful teaching from Jesus that says, you don't ask for too much. You ask for way too little. You settle for a tiny diversion of experience instead of coming home into the divine, into the brilliance, into the light, into all the beauty, into love. Why would you settle? You settle because it's what you know. But to settle for what you know is just wanting the past to keep recycling. And if you don't want the past to keep recycling, you let go of what you think you know, and you accept a new way. And you question the mind's need for diverse experience. Imagine that you were a teenager and you're all excited about the diverse experience of going to different parties. Okay. But after the parties are done, who are you? What are you? Have you gained your worth through that diverse experience? Is there something wrong with parties? No, but what is the purpose? Is it to return home? Is it to find the worth? And where is it? It's within. It's always within. You can see it reflected in others because those others are your reflection. So you have your mirror. You can see what you believe in by where your thoughts are with others, where your thoughts are about others, whether you want to hold them in a limited little identity, or do you want them to come with you into the light, into the awareness? Are you willing to hold them and expand your awareness of every beloved as perfect and whole and complete as the divine? This really means stepping out of the temptation of the false identity that is primed to the familiar. The familiar is so tempting. Habit is so tempting. It's the same temptation as someone who is a heroin addict. It is absolutely tempting to go slip back into the trance and forget where the treasure is, where the beauty is, where is the truth of God. You can't answer that and prove something about yourself at the same time. And the questioning of what the purpose is of your proving anything is what you are called to join, to question. What am I trying to prove? What am I trying to get? What is this for? What's running? I truly want to illuminate what I've made up so that it can be let go and I can accept the truth of divine love. I'm willing. I'm glad not many men and women can remain faithful lovers to the unreal. Faithful lovers to the unreal. Imagine if you were meeting someone for the first time and they said, "Hello, who are you? What do you do?" "I'm one of the faithful lovers to the unreal." Want to see my union card? I've been in this union for lifetimes as a faithful lover to the unreal. There would be honesty in that. There would be an honesty in that. And that honesty would actually help break the trance. Because what the trance depends on is that there is no honesty. That's why all the teachings are always about honesty. Because the trance can't have honesty. Once you say, "I have been a faithful lover to the unreal," you're breaking your trance. Because you're in an admittance that, oh, I took a wrong turn. But this is no longer what I want. And the hopefulness here is, I'm so glad that not many men or women can remain faithful lovers to the unreal. This is the hopefulness. This is the yes. This is the encouragement that you can't last as the faithful lover to the unreal. You can't last in it. The healing is guaranteed. It's just when. And since time is made up, it doesn't really matter other than God's will for you is happiness now. God's will for you is joy and harmony and peace and dancing now. And that's what's actually going on in the universe that you aren't aware of. So it's to step out of the agreement, surrender your union card. You want your name taken off the list of that club of faithful lovers to the unreal. But how can you know what is real and what is not real? That becomes the journey. And that's what the questioning is for. It's first to recognize that you have been a faithful lover to the unreal, that the past is that identity, and the willingness that you no longer want that identity or that agreement. And in no longer wanting it, you begin to ask for help. Show me the way. I certainly don't know. I've been a faithful lover to the unreal. And I don't even know what the unreal is, because it has seemed real to me. So I don't know. I don't know how to walk into the real, and I don't know how to recognize the unreal, because I thought it was real. But that's why there are all of these divine teachings and all of the divine masters that are in dedication to humanity. And it takes great courage to give yourself to a way, a new way. It takes great courage to give yourself to a teaching, to a master. It does. Because the past is screaming. You're gonna just leave us here? Well, that's a pretty bumpy ride. Why don't you just stay where you are? Because that longing to come home and to remember the truth of love is vibrating. It won't let you go, because there is a reality that wants to be remembered. And the unreal cannot bring you the truth of love. But to begin to be able to see what is unreal, what has been made up, is wanting to be led, wanting to be directed. There is an arrogance of the ego that is depended on in the separate identity. And that arrogance of the ego is either, I'll find my own way, I'll do it myself, I'll figure it out, I know. What's really underneath that is a tremendous amount of fear. But it isn't shown that way. It's shown as a bravado of, I have to take care of myself and figure things out myself. But every beloved has had the light show the way in some form of offering. Whether it was a hummingbird that was all of a sudden speaking to you and showing you a vibration that you didn't think was possible, or a master of another form. It's all the same. It's all love coming through. And all you have to do is open yourself to the willingness to be shown a new way. In all of its magnificence, that the divine is speaking through every element. There's no limitation on the help that is given. There is a kind of adultery that God encourages. Your spirit needs to leave the bed of fear. Why does your spirit need to leave the bed of fear? Well, maybe it seems obvious, but maybe the way that fear is actually cloaked isn't always so obvious. Because fear is cloaked in the I know. Fear is cloaked in self-determination. Fear is cloaked in the belief of proving. the belief of getting. It just looks different. It looks normal. And it isn't seen as fear. So to leave the bed of fear it's a big leap. The willingness that there cannot be any fear, that fear absolutely has no truth. No truth. To accept that is the leap of faith. Because there's nothing in you that can figure this out. That there is absolutely nothing to fear. This is an acceptance so deep that it will never make sense. It can't make sense. The ego cannot make sense out of it. There is absolutely nothing to fear. How can this be? Because the big fear that everything comes from is the fear of annihilation. The fear that you will die. You, as an identity, will die. And it is so upside down. Is there an identity that leaves? Yes. But it is the identity that has caused all the pain. It is the identity that has believed itself to be filled with loathing, filled with battle, filled with nightmares. What you are letting go of never existed. Everything of fear has never really existed except in the belief of battle. So to step out of the bed of fear is to let go of everything that is not joy and peace and harmony, including the belief of death. The belief that you are a body and that somehow this body means something about you. But the true you is the eternal. The true you cannot die. Because you cannot leave the eternal source of love. What will that look like? Can't be explained. But this is where trust comes in, the acceptance that, and as you accept the truth, love reveals more and more because you're open to that truth. You're open to the light. Subtle colors and sounds come into awareness through the welcoming of love. Everything becomes harmonious. Everything becomes stillness. Everything becomes all the beauty that could ever be, and so beyond what has been made in the belief of separation. To accept this is the leap of faith. To leave the bed of fear. To trust that there is a universe of love that you have a memory of. You have a divine memory of it. You can almost touch it. You can almost taste it. It's there. But once you start thinking or you start trying to figure it, like trying to make sense of it, it disappears. Because the mind comes in instead of the acceptance of that divine stillness. and just dropping in. Letting go of all perceptions of doing and just allowing, melting, the willingness to melt. Truth can only be experienced, it cannot be described, and it cannot be explained. Truth will dawn upon you of itself when you say yes. Not truth as in, I know this or I know that, but love, truth, God, harmony, peace. It's waiting. It isn't the experience, but it is experienced in awareness, but it is not the experience. And that can't really be explained because it isn't about trying to hold on to something. It's about allowing and inviting and trusting. Thank God I was mistaken. Thank God I wasn't right about what I thought I knew about anything. This can be a prayer of such strength, such power. This is like the prayer of saying, I'm no longer a faithful lover of the unreal. There's power there. I no longer am willing to be the faithful lover of the unreal. I want what I've made up to be completely illuminated so that I can see exactly what I've been making up. That is a prayer of strength. That is a prayer of trust. Now just bring that into your heart and let it be your prayer. I am willing to illuminate all of the unreal that I have made up. I'm willing for all of it to be illuminated, and it will disappear. And only the love will remain. I'm willing. Can you find that willingness within? When I first brought that prayer into my heart, I felt the resistance. I felt the fear come up of annihilation. Heal everything that I have made up. I don't know what it all is. Just heal everything that I've made up. I have no idea what that would even look like, because it's too vast in its complexities. Heal everything that I've made up, that I've held as unreal. I'm no longer willing to be the faithful lover. That prayer will show you your resistance, if there's any. And yet, it can take you to complete healing. Because you're not leaving anything, you're not trying to hold anything in the back door, under the counter, to save. You want it all healed. You want it all. Anything that's not true, I want healed. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what that would be, but take everything that is unreal and shine the light and love and let it disappear. Let it just evaporate. The gross, the subtle, the mental worlds become as a worthless partner. It takes great courage to see the worthlessness of the unreal. It does. Because it's been held as kind of the secret stash of identity. That's what you've been wanting to touch and buy new things and toss them into an already filled closet. It's like, well, let's empty this closet of all the made up, unreal things. Not because God wants you to be without, but because they don't have any meaning. These filled closets of unreal things. And the fear that you would not have everything is what is holding back. The fear, the distrust that God would not provide. That the truth of love, the entire harmony of the universe would not provide. But that's only because you've made a world that looks like there is no providing. That's part of the illusion of separation, is I'm so afraid I will not be provided for. I am so afraid of not having enough. I'm so afraid that there isn't enough. That runs my wanting to fill my closets constantly with new things to prove that I have enough. And it's a vicious game that never brings you to any peace because it's based on the belief that there is not enough. So it's always being run by fear. Always. Does everybody carry this? Yes. The belief of scarcity is the ego's agreement. Completely. The belief that there is not enough. I spent years in hell, obsessed with not having enough. Obsessed to taking out bank statements and looking at them over and over and over again, as if by some demonic thing they were going to change. And I was all of a sudden going to be without, as if the bank statements were my security. This was all completely upside down and inside out. I believed hook, line, and sinker that there was not enough. Completely. And that had to be surrendered. That was one of the ways that I was a faithful lover to the unreal. I was a faithful lover to the unreal, to the belief of scarcity. I was a faithful lover. Not truly, but I believed. That's what I believed. That's what I focused on. That's where I put my attention. And I had to be willing to empty those closets. I had to be willing to surrender everything into the hands of God. Take it all. I have no idea how this world works. I have no idea how to be in this world. I have no idea how anything is in harmony. I have not a clue. I have not a clue of harmony. I have not a clue of peace. But I'm willing. I'm willing for a new world to emerge through my surrender. And the willingness day to day to have that surrender. day to day, surrendering the identity of the faithful lover to the unreal. Every day, because the habit would come back again and again. Sure you don't want to be the faithful lover to the unreal? You have a lot of company. It's a big club. No, not anymore. And the willingness to want the illumination of the truth, to truly want it. Show me what I'm making up right now. What is the mind saying right now? What is this thought that's going through here? What is it? What am I thinking? What am I trying to prove? What am I trying to get? What am I conjuring up? What am I figuring out? Are you willing to give your sight to God? Because everything that you see, you're making a story of. So if you surrender your sight, surrender what you believe you know through your sight. How many conclusions do you come to a day through your sight? All day long. It's conclusions coming from sight. But they're made up. And the willingness to surrender your sight. I don't want to see anything that I'm making up anymore. I don't want to figure out conclusions. You see a glass sitting on a counter. You have an opinion about that? You have a light that's turned on in the house. Do you have an opinion about that? What it means? What it does? Good, bad, whatever. Surrendering it all. I don't know how to be in this world. Show me the way. The willingness to be taken by love and shown step by step what's most helpful. I don't know. And in that not knowing, love can reveal itself. Love can begin to open that communion with you because you're available, because the mind is not in charge. The false identity of the unreal is not in charge anymore. You've switched allegiance. You've given your allegiance to the holiness of the heart. And you're willing for your heart to be taken, to be burst open, to flood the universe, because that's its natural state. Take me. Love waits on welcome, not on time. So to exchange being the lover of the unreal for the welcoming of love, the true love, wanting to be the lover of the truth, of the real, of the eternal, of the ecstatic, of the light. That yes, that's in your heart, that's waiting to be stirred, to be pushed to the front as the number one purpose, the only purpose. The only purpose of being incarnated is to remember the truth of oneness. You wouldn't have incarnated if you didn't believe you were separate. Because the incarnation itself is the belief of separation. The truth of eternal life doesn't need to incarnate into something else. It's only the belief that you are something else that keeps it intact. The willingness to surrender all fear, all the belief that fear has any purpose. Get out of the bed of fear. You know that saying in the world, you made your bed, now lie in it? Mm-hmm. Well, you made fear, now step out of it. Leave it behind, because it has no truth. It has no value. All it does is say no to God. I'm believing in fear, and I'm believing in what I've made. But God is calling to step out of the bed of fear. I have nothing to lose and everything to remember. The willingness. Come home to love. The Holy Spirit's voice is as loud as your willingness to listen. The Holy Spirit is the Spirit of love that is the entire universe, movement. Just be willing to listen. Be willing to hear the voice of love calling to you and directing you through every teaching, through every moment. Willing. The divine yes of love. So in this moment,